Name is Draytax from Fogwire.com. This will be a really short video about the custom objects in Rust Legacy basically and all. So what you will need actually is a Unity editor, as you can see, and specifically you will need the 4.5.5 F1 version. This is because the Rust Legacy was built on this version, so you must use this one, and you cannot use the newer Unity engines to build. Basically, we're stuck on this version. And of course, you will also need an IDE, Visual Studio, but I'm using JetBrains Rider because it's a lot more better. And once you've registered on Unity Engine's website and you have clicked on the download button and downloaded 4.5.5 F1, and you can go to the Unity Assets store and download any sort of assets that you wish. I do not recommend guns at the moment actually, because I still haven't modified the classes that I need to in order to actually spawn different sort of weapons to the player's hands. Doesn't seem actually hard, but kind of lazy. But you can download any sort of NPCs. You would just have to make sure to add it to the Unity nav mesh path, and that would be done, I think. So any sort of object is actually really easy. I've downloaded two of them. This is a vehicle. The other one is a helicopter. And sometimes you're lucky, sometimes you're not. Actually, it doesn't matter. This one actually has a prefab file, as you can see, prefab. I don't know if you can see it, probably not that much, but it is a prefab file. And you will need this prefab file in order to spawn it in Rust Legacy. So without this one, you cannot spawn the actual object inside the game. And now, this pack actually contained a prefab, but this one didn't. I had to create one for it. As you can see, military car is a prefab file. This one is an FBX file. So let's just pretend that I don't have this one here. In these scenarios, you would have an FBX file or some sort of different file that is playable in the Unity editor, and you would know that by you can pull out into this area and then you can move it around. And now actually, if you don't have a prefab file, you would have to go and create one, and I would name it military car, but you can name it whatever you want, and this will be an empty prefab. You cannot move it to any sort of scenes. And now you just grab this FBX file and magically plug it inside the prefab, let's just say that. But you just pull it on the prefab file and boom, you can actually spawn it now. And this is all you have to do. Not really a big magic. The same goes for the helicopter actually. This is called personal transport helicopter. And once you have created the I don't know, or downloaded the specific packages that you need, you go and select the specific projects that you want to compile. You right click and then you click on the build asset bundle from selection track dependencies. Now for this sort of feature, you would need to crack or buy Unity Engine. So you cannot build an asset bundle without having the professional version of Unity Engine. So you would have to download the free and crack it or buy it. Doesn't matter which actually, it's none of my concerns. So once you've gotten the professional version of Unity Engine, you go and click build asset bundle from selection. And now I'm gonna name it my asset. And let's just make sure that we name it that way. Oh, I included scene objects by an accident. Whoops. Let's just call it ASD. There we go. So this will take some sort of short period of time, and once you have built it, let's just assume that I've built the my asset bundle and not ASD. You could use my pre-made project, which is not perfect, but it's good for testing and anything. And all it does, it actually grabs the path of the asset bundle that you have placed inside the specific folder, and it adds it to the download list so the client can also load it. And it creates a main game object. It adds the component of the second class and starts to load the assets. Now, also an important thing, this has to be added each time you create a project, because if you would update your asset bundle later, it would load the previous one because of the caching features of Unity Engine. So make sure to clean the cache all the time, so it will always load the fresh one in the next period of time. So always make sure to do this. And now we head to the loading handler, and this is where it actually downloads. Let's just code that because it doesn't download it. It just loads the bundle from the path, which is a local path. And once that's done, we assign it to a variable. We dispose the VVV class. We create a temporarily game object. We add the component of our mono behavior class. And this is where it gets interesting. We must use our prefab names upon creating objects. You specify a vector3, which is a position, the rotation, and the size for the object, and then you load the game object and repeat it all the time when you're loading some sort of an object. And in the end, just simply unload the bundle, which is just a required thing also. And this is the actual magic where it loads the object, the prefab from the bundle, and just basically initializes the actual object for the scene at the given position with the specific size or specified size. And the same thing goes on the client. The big difference is that it actually downloads the asset bundle from the server, also cleans the cache, and then it just loads it. Another great thing or good thing that I should note for you guys is the when you spawn an object on the server but you don't spawn the object in the client side, then the client won't be able to see the object, but it will still detect its colliders. So the colliders are created on the server. Let's say you create an object or a vehicle at a certain position only on the server, then the client won't be able to see it. The bullets would still go through it, but you would still bump into it when you would touch it. And the same thing applies for the client-side creation. So you always have to make sure to create the objects on the client side and the server side upon doing that. Another thing that I'm working on, but Salva actually did that a long time ago, but it's not public, is the object placing sort of mechanism, which is spawning the object on the client side and then using specific keystrokes to modify the rotation and the position of the object until you see it fitting at the certain location. So this is some sort of thing that I'm working on. I don't want to fuck around with it for a long time, but this is coming actually. So you could just have an easier job when you're spamming objects on your server, and then it would save it on the server side, and then the next time you restart your server it would just spam them, and you would already have a huge list on your server, and basically you can spam a lot of objects, so probably would be interesting. This can also be applied for weather like fog, rain. These sort of features are already on Raiders Land and NPCs, of course. And now the other thing that I am working out is the guns, if I had the actual time, but I'm still working on that. So this is available on my GitHub. Be sure to grab the correct Unity Engine version and have fun, guys. Good luck.